This is going to be the biggest Balikatan exercises. Pero yung the biggest, meron ding konteksto doon, we would presume. Why now? I mean, and in the context of everything that's happening in the West Philippine Sea, everything that we're looking at in Taiwan, and for that matter, this rebalancing of the foreign policy of President Marcos, how do you put everything in context for this, the biggest Balikatan exercises?
Well, last year, we already had, we claimed that last year's Balikatan exercise was the biggest so far. But from the planning exercises that we did with our counterpart, the U.S. Armed Forces, we are now bringing in more components into the training exercise. Marami na pong mga capabilities na bago that we have to develop jointly. And so we are including this in the exercises for this year. Aside from that, we are saying that it's the biggest so far because the United States is bringing in more troops compared to the previous years.
General, okay, in the past, no, the focus of Balikatan exercises was humanitarian assistance and disaster response. And of course, there were military exercises as well. The question now is whether, as some congressmen have suggested, whether this will be expanded to include objectives like, you know, deterring aggression in the West Philippine Sea. So the question is also whether it will expand to include maritime defenses.
Actually, ma'am, we already did that in our previous exercises. You're right when you said that the previous focus was on humanitarian assistance and disaster response, HADR. There were also a few components for war fighting and, of course, counterterrorism. But this year, we are including some aspects also on maritime defense, and territorial defense as well.
Nakaroon ba kayo ng component on electronic warfare? Surveillance, surveillance tracking, weaponry. Kasi yan yung bago ngayon, ano? And which was already, well, sinasabi nila it was a civilian use, no? Pero yung laser is part of electronic warfare, eh. Although, yun na nga sinasabi nung kabila, hindi naman daw military grade yung ginamit nila. Pero will that be part of the war games? Will the joint exercises, the electronic component?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Electronic warfare will also be part of the exercises. In other words, ito pong yung gagawin nating exercise will not just be confined to purely combat. In fact, a big part of it, as I said, would still be the humanitarian assistance and disaster response. So may mga projects pa rin po tayo that will be in the communities, particularly in the areas where we will have the exercises.